going forward, I'm going to have a challenge with these remaining 4 movies.
Okay.
And I say, I'm pretty sure when we go through each of these, I'm going to be like, oh, this is my favorite. Oh, no, that one's my favorite.
Totally.
Oh, no. Because rewatching this one again, I really like Rogue Nation.
This is pretty good. This was like a breath of fresh air compared to the garbage we've been watching.
Well, I wanted to ask, like, there's always a point where it seems like inconsistency, or like, something falls off.
There is a point in the movie where everything just turns on its head. At least in the last one, that's the way it was.
With Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
Now, did you feel that at any point in this movie?
No, I thought it was really consistent. The editing is kind of something I wanted to talk about. Like, I really liked the editing. There was so many fun moments. There would be the music that's like has a steady beat to it. Boom, boom, boom. And it would then transition to the next scene, and her footsteps are in like just really seamless, really thoughtful editing in this one.
Eddie Hamilton is the editor for this movie. He is the editor going forward.
Great. Awesome.
He Fallout, Dead Reckoning, and The Final Reckoning, and he had edited also for Tom Cruise Top Gun Maverick, which McQuarrie also produced and co-wrote. They found him because of The Kingsman. They had liked the style of what he had done in The Kingsman. And another thing too with that, this movie is a first of, I think, the rest as well, where they film a lot in the UK.
Okay. Most
to take advantage
was in the UK.
And then I know for the other 2, even if the locations weren't technically UK, the studio was in the UK.
Okay.
The actual sound stages and all that. So I'm assuming to get the tax credits that they had to employ UK-based people.
Sure.
They have the editor, and then for the next 3 movies, the composer is Lorne Balfe, and I will save that for the next 3 because he's my favorite composer from this entire franchise.
Was that the composer for this one too?
No, the composer here, I really like the music in this one too.
Yeah.
It's Joe Kraemer, for the music score. Yeah, Joe Kramer's score, fully analog, orchestral, no synths.
No way.
He wanted to use only what they had when the show was on. So I thought that was really kind of a cool touch.
Cool. That's a great note. Holy smokes.
And the tone, I think, with the music and with the movie as a whole is a little bit darker and moodier. This movie is just a lot of fun. Watching it this time, considering things we've talked about, though, there were some things I noticed that, okay, like I should take issue with this, but I'm having such a good time that I didn't care.
Right.
The IMF is disbanded again.
I know. It's just like, when are they banded? They're constantly disbanded.
Disbanded. Another kind of silly thing is it's the second time that Ethan Hunt is brought back to life. But, okay. It came out July 31st of 2015. Christopher McQuarrie is now in the driver's seat, which is great. I've been excited for this. He wrote the movie. Producers, okay, I owe you an apology, Mark. I was wrong.
What?
J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot, this is their last movie.
Oh, yeah. That popped up and I was like, not these guys
Son
again.
Of a bitch, he lied.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, was I mentioned with Ghost Protocol that was the last movie for Chinese financing. It was the other way around. That movie had investment, but didn't actually have direct government involvement. This movie
does.
This one has quite a bit. So there's a company, China Movie Channel, and they actually did co-financing promotional work in China, and they helped guide the production through the regulatory process, which includes, and this part I don't love, includes shaping the story in a way that will get approval. I'm like,
because with these movies, like, isn't the whole thing, hey, we have an idea for a stunt and we have the production to do a stunt, and then we'll do the stunt and then we'll write the movie kind of around that stunt.
Yeah.
So just kind of tangenting off of that is like the big stunt is the plane in this one, right? Like it was him holding off of the plane, right? That was was in all the promotion and everything, and it's literally the first scene of the movie, and I don't think it has anything to do with this movie, does it? Like it's like
they don't explain.
It's not a part of this movie.
It is, but like they don't explain it well. So Hunt and the team are stopping the syndicate. We don't know it's the syndicate that's trying to send those nerve agents or whatever it is, like in the back.
So it is,
and so they stop that. Yeah. But see, like, again, that could have been placed anywhere in the movie. And they even say that, like, during interviews. And this is what I love about McQuarrie and Cruise. They're like, all right, well, let's just find the pieces and see how we can make it fit best.
It's a totally valid approach to storytelling and to doing these big blockbuster movies with the biggest movie star in the world. Like, I think a lot of people might kind of scoff at it, but it's just another way to do it, you know? Like, you have all this money. The production in this movie is insane. I don't know how they got all these moving parts and all these big set pieces together, but it works.
And everything that happens also, I just feel like happens very seamlessly. Like the cinematography, looks great. The special effects, they are cool, but none of them are so like standing out, like they take you out of it. It all is woven in.
The only time the CGI was bad was when the car was flipping over with them buckled in, and it looked pretty bad. That's the only time though. Everything else, even in the underwater stuff, it's like, okay.
When you mention the car, it just makes me think of also Benji in this movie, who is, again,
we have to talk about that.
Really good. Like, just what I love with him here is that he has the great comedic beats, but then I love that scene at the end where Solomon Lane is using Benji to say his words.
Right. And he's got a bomb strapped on him, and he's going to die if he doesn't. And there's some great acting from Simon Pegg in this.
And who's also in that scene is Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa Faust. I love this character, and it's not some just love interest, that they could really easily, minimize and make it like a romantic accessory, but actually is like Ethan's true equal.
Yep. It's the first woman. It only took him 5 movies to write a well-written woman for this, who stands on her own, is very capable, has agency, even when her whole role in this movie is not having agency. Like, she is manipulated by every single person that appears in every single agency, but she does a great job. I can't believe I forgot that she was in it, because she's like, she stands out in this for sure.
She's also in Fallout and in Dead Reckoning, and is a great part of both those movies. With Solomon Lane as the villain, played by Sean Harris, I'm curious how you feel on this, because I'll tell you this, my favorite villain probably in the franchise.
Yeah.
I like Sean Harris as an actor. I like that it's a complex villain. This is a guy who's maybe disillusioned. Not maybe, he is disillusioned. And a couple of interesting things is that there's no fights between him and Ian.
Correct.
Ian. Between him and Ethan.
Yeah.
Between him and Ethan. This whole thing is like a big chess game, the whole movie.
Yeah. I have a theory about this villain.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I agree. So far, this is the best villain by far. He's creepy. He's got a really fun, evil voice. He's got an evil look to him, and he's quirky, which is like a fun villain to have, right? But he's another regular white dude, old white dude, whose motivations are never really understood. And what we do get is it's a very general, to succeed, you have to start over nonsense. Yeah. And so my theory is the only reason this is the best villain who's so far is because we've been building up with the lamest possible villains for the last 4 movies. And finally we get a guy who's just this much more interesting than the last 4.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, cool guy. But like these movies are weird, Saurabh. Like, like they're really fun. And I really enjoy them, but like, and the villains is a part of that weirdness of just like, it's this franchise is not like any other film franchise there is. It's just a bizarre collection of stories told that sounds like it's told by a crazy person.
And starting with this one, and I think for the remainder of the installments in this franchise, these movies do a couple interesting things. One is that they're very self-aware, and there'll be times where there's language used or scenes that happen that make fun of their franchise itself. Like Alec Baldwin's character definitely plays a huge part in that. And the other part too, which we touched on before, is the villains kind of matter less and less, and it becomes more of a focus on who is Ethan and who is this team, and like let's learn more about them and their motivations.
Totally. And at the same time, I don't feel like my opinion of Ethan is, oh, he's just some guy that's always going to do the right thing and is always a step ahead. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know if he's really like earned that. He's just kind of like, you know, like, first of all, he's not believable as a spy because Tom Cruise is like one of the most attractive human beings on the planet. And so him just walking out in the world is going to draw attention, right? And so like, just, Ethan kind of feels to me like he will fall backwards into the right thing, into doing the right thing. Like, what do we know about the guy? Not a lot.
So you calling that out makes me think of the next two movies. So in Fallout, it's more about, okay, what is he willing to do? How far is he willing to go? Is he willing to do some anti-hero type stuff? Right. So that's addressed in Fallout. And Dead Reckoning does some strange plot device stuff where we go back to see how he joined the IMF. And it's kind of like what you said. Hey, it only took us 7 movies at that point to bring that up. And when they do that, they only show a little drop of it. The locations on this movie were awesome. We talked about heavy UK filming, but Vienna, Casablanca, Morocco, beautiful locations.
Yeah, really nice.
I like just also how this whole thing is kind of set up. Again, it's Ethan on the run. You have this shadow organization, the Syndicate. Oh, we're going to recruit agents that were assumed dead from all over the world. And in this movie, there's not an immediate threat or danger. There's this more of like, okay, these people are doing things destructively, slowly.
Totally. And you know, that you saying that kind of gave me a thought of like, I think what's so intriguing about these movies is not as much the villains being a specific human, but them being an organization. Like there's this series, I will say, does a really good job of distrust in like governmental organizations, because it's always a rogue something that the good guys have set up that has gone bad and now threatens whatever. It's always a politician or someone or a rich person who is making these choices and putting together a bad actors. And I think that's like the villains of these movies are organizations and specifically like governmental organizations and not so much human beings.
I mean, Ethan, I think in every one of these movies, even his own superiors or whatever, he has like some level of distrust that shows it.
Always fighting with his boss. Always.
This movie did flip some of the usual things of Mission on its head. Like when he goes to the record shop, he's getting his mission, but it's actually them, the Syndicate, being like, we're going to stop you. We are the Syndicate. We know who you are now. I thought that was a very nice...
At the beginning of the movie, yeah.
Really, really nice touch. And silly tech stuff or like on-screen things we see. There's a part early on when Ethan is talking to Brandt, Cruz to Renner. And he says, go secure. And he just swipes his phone. Renner just swipes his phone. It says, call encrypted.
Call encrypted.
Like, okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So my favorite one from this movie was Benji's going into the secure facility and he's in, okay. And I have another thought about this. He's in a BMW. It flashes to like the center console screen and in the top it says BMW Auto Connect or whatever. He presses the button and it's BMW's like font and their visual like ecosystem. And it says jamming signal. And then he goes to stop jamming, and it's like, it's so funny to think of the production working in conjunction with BMW automakers to make this like BMW specific spy hacking secret page on their center console. Really funny.
Yeah. They had, it was BMW, Nokia, and Dell that had big product placement throughout this movie. I was just thinking also, when you mentioned Benji and going into that location, there was one part of that in particular that I liked a lot. They talk about masks and voice, but that whole thing of like, oh, and we're going to even match the style of how they walk. Yes. And if that's not right, I'm like, that's pretty damn cool.
That's
like,
fun.
See, this movie, the toys in this movie and all the spy stuff, again, is so well done, but I love how it's in the background. They don't really try to make it like MI3. Right. I felt like that was one of the problems. They're like, this is the toy. Let me show you like the toy, like,
it feels more like they're actual spies who are relying on their skills in this one rather than the toys. And the toys are secondary. They're just there and they know how to use them well. Whereas like the third one, it's here is the thing you must use to succeed.
And I had a question with some of the characters now.
Yeah.
So we're just talking about Renner, and I remember what you had said from Ghost Protocol, and it's hard to miss in this movie that they try to put Renner and Ving Rhames into this like buddy cop movie kind of format.
Yeah.
I feel like it works, but then I feel like they're maybe pushing it a little too much. Like it goes for like a little too long.
And they don't have enough time together to like sort of set that relationship up. It's kind of like they just cut to they're in a car together and they're bickering. You know what I mean? It's a little like, okay, I guess they don't really like each other or whatever.
Another kind of strange thing too, half the movie goes by and then Ving Rhames enters the story.
Right. Good point.
At least he's in this one though. So like that was definitely, truly bizarre. But okay, some characters in this film that I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm.
I love the usage of Alec Baldwin as Alan Hunley, the CIA director, and then becomes the IMF director. He has some of the hammiest lines in this, but again, it's making fun of the series.
Yes.
Like, and I love that they embrace that.
What is the one he calls Ethan Hunt? He says he's the human manifestation of destiny.
Of destiny,
so good. It's such a good line.
Yeah. Or Hunt, I hope you realize you've sent back U.S.-UK relations to the American Revolution. I'm just like...
So good.
It's wonderful. And Cruise, by the way, himself is pretty good comedically at various times, in this. But Baldwin is such a refreshing addition. I think he's... Anytime you add him, he's great.
He was really good in this, for sure.
I don't know what the actor's name is, but the actor who plays the prime minister also
he was in the second season of White Lotus. He was a villain in it. He's a great actor. Like he's very commanding, and he has a very small role as the prime minister in this, but he's a standout for sure.
There is a character and plot device that is not used in this movie. Do you know where I'm going with this?
A whole character? Well, I mean, this franchise introduces and drops characters like they were pieces of candy. Like it's very inconsistent, but this is someone who's been in all of them.
This is someone who has been in the last two, and I think from what we had discussed before, just removing this makes the movie substantially better.
Julia?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. No,
I did. Honestly,
no, Julia,
I didn't even realize she wasn't in this until you said that, because she's such a nothing character to me.
Which really, again, Michelle Monaghan as an actor, I think she's great. I remember her from True Detective. I remember her from Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and like all these other like great things she's been in. But such a terrible use, in this
role. It's
franchise.
Such a bad character in this. It just makes the whole thing worse.
I will spoil one thing here, and that's that she appears briefly in Fallout. But I like the use there. I thought was great. That's very different.
Okay.
This movie refocuses on the team, the mission. Yeah. Well, it refocuses on the action. I was going to say team, I don't know, because this movie...
But Simon Pegg is like a sidekick in this. He's like, has multiple scenes where it's just him and Tom Cruise talking to each other. And it's like, wow, I forgot that he was such a pivotal part of this. And he's amazing in it. He totally holds his own with like Tom Cruise, the most intense human being on the earth.
I mean, we were just talking about that ending scene where they're outside of that table and he's speaking for Lane. Like that was, totally incredible. Or at the Opera House in Vienna.
Honestly, the whole opera scene I really liked. I really liked the soundtrack is only the opera happening. There's no score other than the opera. So all the fighting, the fucking sniper battle, 3-way sniper battle. Wait, or is it 4-way? No, it's like a 3-way sniper battle that's
3-way
above the opera as the opera goes. Such a good scene. I wish it lasted longer.
By the way, any scene that has Rebecca Ferguson fighting, doing action, doing choreography, she had some of the coolest moves in that movie. The one that I keep thinking of is when she enters into, I don't know if it's a hotel and Solomon Lane is there and a goon's pushing her and she gets annoyed with him pushing her. So she just jumps on him, twists him around and takes his gun right off.
She does that a lot in this movie. She jumps on, I think, 3 or 4 men's shoulders as a finishing move. And like one of them, like the Dr. Bones or whatever his name is, she kills him by doing that. That's her move.
Like a knife
that's her special move. No, she's great. Her choreography is great. The fight choreography was great. At the opera scene in particular, the sniper battle, I really enjoyed.
that's one of the like amazing action scenes or set pieces. I'm going to just list a few here. We talked about the plane stunt at the beginning. Then there's the record shop ambush. And a cool thing I noticed there, I hadn't noticed before, was when Cruise walks in, you see Lane in the background.
No way.
That's and then good. The Vienna Opera House was just definitely fantastic. Everything in Morocco, from the water scene was great. The motorcycle chase scene.
Yeah, that was cool.
You know, Cruise, I'm a fan, but man, you're psychotic. Like no helmet, like just going at those crazy speeds.
And also wearing the worst shirt I've ever seen in my entire life. It's like a button-down snakeskin, old, rich, out-of-touch dad, like on vacation in Ibiza snakeskin shirt. It is such a bizarre wardrobe choice. I don't know who decided that.
And the one thing with that chase, which was interesting though, I read later, is half of the cars that are in there like are put in a CG. And
I was wondering
again, that's part of like it's effects that are seamless though, because I bought it. But of course, until the part where she steps out and he falls off his bike without a scratch. The London finale, so running through London, of course, the running scenes with him.
There wasn't a like specific Tom Cruise running scene, was there? Not like you think of when you think of Tom Cruise running.
Not like for one where like, okay, they hold on for a little bit or something.
Right.
There were only two times that I can recall, like from the movie. So there is the scene where he's running at the beginning to jump onto the plane.
Yes.
And then at the very end, when he's trying to lure Lane, through the streets of London at night, he runs past some columns. But those are like short clips.
Yeah, that are edited together, not like a long take of Tom Cruise running.
There was one other silly part. Just thinking of the plane part at the beginning, when Cruise runs, and we see actually before he runs, we see him for the first time.
Yeah,
I'm here. Okay, like I'm gonna jump on. It finally hit me of like, why are you wearing a suit? You know?
Yeah, like what were you doing where that necessitated a suit?
You're on what looks like a military base of some kind.
Right. There's a backstory there for sure.
Especially, from two angles there. One just doesn't make sense. But the other one is you're about to be hanging on a plane. You could have picked any wardrobe.
Right. You could have picked a snakeskin shirt.
Yes. I don't understand, but either. Again, as we've
what I love,
as we've said before,
though, I just love that. I just love that Cruise. Like one of the main things we talk about in this series is how about the scene where he runs? like it's just so funny that is a cultural touchstone. Is the Tom Cruise running from this stupid franchise?
I mean, I don't know. I think from the third one, they just made it a thing. Yeah. It was in so many of the ads and everything. And it's like, all right, he can sprint.
It's incredible. It's for some reason, it's incredible. I don't know what it is, but I love to see it. Which is the one where he broke his leg, Saurabh? Is that the next one?
The next one, he, slams his foot in an awkward way. It's on video. Like, the crazy part is they had the camera also on the other side shooting. They kept it going. He finished the scene. If you watch the finished final movie, you'll see him limp across.
And it's real.
But then, of course, it cuts to like once he's recovered and he's running normally again. But that's unreal.
You know what, dude? You know what's so funny is that, and granted, it's not funny, but it's so funny that like Tom Cruise severely injured his leg running in the next movie, right? There was a group of guys in a room seriously talking about, well, how are we going to get Tom Cruise to run? Like, is Tom going to be able to run for the next one? Like, what do we do? He's not going to run. He's not going to be able to run. How do we shoot this if we can't have our guy run?
And in 6 months, he's back.
That's what's crazy to me is like, it really is a situation of when a football player injures a hamstring or a quarterback injures a hamstring and everyone goes, oh shit, like this is our guy. Like our entire season is based on this guy performing. It's the same exact thing with Tom Cruise. Hundreds and hundreds of millions, billions of dollars behind this one guy. He broke his leg. What do we do?
And I think that's why, like, with Dead Reckoning, you definitely see this. There's more team involvement. There is, and actually, even with Fallout, they had other stuff that they could shoot. And during those 6 months where he couldn't shoot, they went and did all of that.
Okay.
Any of the reshoots, any of the, like, inserts. Actually, Eddie Hamilton also had more time to do some editing and show, like, finished sequences to review, like, because they never have that kind of extra time usually, right? So, but I'm amazed that movie didn't go insanely over budget Fallout.
Really?
Because it easily could have. Now, Dead Reckoning, that's another thing. COVID was not merciful. That movie had big financial problems.
Oh, shit.
As does The Final Reckoning, which has a rumored budget of $400 million.
God, for what? For what? What? What is this movie gonna be?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Accounting question for film. Okay. Mark, do you think it's one of these two ways when looking at accounting for a film? So for Mission Impossible, this franchise started 1996 and is going to be, if this is the last one, wrapped up in 2025. Right. So we have, 29 years, almost 30 years of movies. Over that period, it's made a little over $5 billion. And, from all the movies together. And then the budgets also, though, if you add them up, all together, even these ones that have cost more at the end, if it's at least a multiple of 3 or higher, then you've probably recouped and been profitable quite a bit. So there's that one way. The other way, which I'm assuming is more likely what Paramount and every studio has to do, is they can't use a 30-year time horizon. I think they probably have to go shorter. If that's the case, if the second route is the way it has to go, like looking at the accounting, there is no way in hell, and it's heartbreaking, that The Final Reckoning can be profitable. It doesn't. I don't even need to wait. I can tell you right now, unless that movie has Top Gun Maverick numbers,
right? And
there's no
I don't
way
think that'll happen. I don't think there's enough interest in this series. And there's a big ass, when you drive into Hollywood, there's a big ass billboard with Tom Cruise's face on it for the next movie, and he's old. Like, I don't think this being the end of an era for this franchise, whatever they decide to do with it, this is definitely a final film for an era, whether they continue it or not. I don't think there's any hype over it at all. Like, it's just another Mission Impossible movie. At least that's been my read on it. I could totally be wrong, but like $400 million for a movie is insane. There's no way in hell this is going to make a fraction of that back.
1.2 billion. That's what, again, I really think would be required.
Crazy. Didn't Dark Knight make $1 billion worldwide? And that's that's like an exceptional, that's an anomaly. That's not Mission Impossible 8. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Top Gun 2, that made like 1.49 billion. I'm just pulled up the Wikipedia page. And again, assuming we can trust that number, it had also a lot of things like, people remember it from 30 years ago. So you had young and old fans into it. Definitely 4-quadrant. They even took out any references to Taiwan to make sure that every market will not be offended. And, they try that with
of course,
this franchise too. Yeah, for whatever reason, it doesn't work. I feel silly complaining about $600 or $700 million box office. That's still this movie, this particular one, Rogue Nation, made $683 million off of what was the budget here?
Great. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it did really well. And then its budget was $150 million. So yeah, over a 4 multiple.
Okay.
But if these are studio heads looking at this and these crazy numbers that keep inflating for the budget, they're like, okay, well, why hasn't this cracked $1 billion? I bet you there are some sick people that are asking that question.
Yeah. Oh, of course there are. Of course there are. And it makes me think there is another component to this that we don't know about yet. There's another component to Mission Impossible and its direction that we're not aware of yet. Whether it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be more movies, dude. I think it's going to be a TV series.
Okay.
Because movies are just it's not like it used to be, It's not 1999 anymore.
Dude, there were some callbacks to MI1 in this. Again, Cruise uses the designator Bravo Echo 11. That was kind of a cool little thing in there. I really liked that. A little piece of trivia, by the way. There was a problem regarding the title. The title of the movie, or the subtitle is Rogue Nation, right? Yeah. And this movie came out in 2015.
Okay.
Rogue One came out in 2016.
Shit.
So you have Paramount and Disney at each other, and they came to an agreement. Since Rogue Nation was coming out first, Disney promised not to release any promotional material until this movie was out in the theaters, Rogue Nation.
Did you catch the rabbit foot in this movie?
Yeah,
That was good.
yeah,
That was
I like
a
that.
nice
Like,
little nod.
and one interesting thing, Giacchino, as the composer, actually was supposed to come back for this, but the only reason why he didn't was because he had a schedule conflict with making or scoring Jurassic World. But I think it turned out okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually like the score. The score felt really like more energetic, upbeat, and more punchy in this one. I really liked it.
Nice. Yeah, I really like the score a lot. Now let's dive into just any likes or dislikes that were missed.
What'd you think of the title card, dude?
I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it.
Yep.
I absolutely loved it. That was what I was looking for.
Yep.
That was
I knew
really.
You were going to say that.
The style is pretty similar for the next two as well. And I'm really curious, of course, what they're going to do with the Final Reckoning.
Yeah,
so
totally. They're going to do something special.
So did you like the light the fuse sequence?
I did. I loved it.
For this one?
I thought it was great.
Nice.
But and, I really do love asking you that question because it's such a it's very Sorab of it's a very specific thing and it's one of the things I love about you, dude, is like it's a very specific thing that you're like, oh, I like that, or no, it wasn't good this time. You know what I mean? And you have reasons for why you feel that way, which are totally valid. And so it's one of my favorite questions to ask you is what do you think of the light the fuse sequence?
Well, why I have fun with that is that it will set me up for the rest of the movie. You know, like it's like, all right, now this is how I feel. And it can be very unfair, you know, like to the movie I'm saying, you know, that it's like, all right, well, that sucked. You know, the rest better be amazing.
Yeah, totally. It is, though. It's a setup, you know, and the rest of the movie is the punchline.
Totally. And just imagine, by the way, like it's also very risky too, because what if they have an amazing light the fuse sequence and the rest is like
the rest sucks. Yeah, it's a very delicate balance. The 20-second light the fuse sequence and the 2-hour-long film.
But look, it's worked for them so far because the first one, great, and the rest of the movie was great. The second one was pretty bad, but the rest of the movie is this fun, weird WWE doves flying, explosive, whatever thing. The third one, who cares? Because the whole thing is just such a shit show. And then the fourth one, I don't like it as much, but the rest of the movie has a lot of good energy to it, so it only goes up from there. And now we're into the back half, and it's incredible.
I can't wait to see. I'm going to have you put them in order and rank them at the end of this whole experiment.
Definitely. I've been, by the way, just the ranking of the movies as a whole has been changing a lot for me.
Really?
Fallout's still my favorite, but my second favorite, it goes back and forth between either Dead Reckoning or this movie. And the original Mission is a very close fourth. Like those four movies, there's not a lot of room between them. Like I love them all. It's hard for me to decide which one I like more than the other.
So the next one we're watching is Fallout. That's 6. And then 7 is Dead Reckoning. And then 8, which is coming out in a couple weeks, is Final Reckoning.
Final Reckoning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for likes, for anything that was missed, we talked about Ethan and Ilsa. I thought they were great together. For Baldwin's goofy lines, making fun of everything. Awesome.
Great.
You know, Lane as the villain, as you said, better just because it's like a slight degree of,
he's kind of
an improvement.
And like these movies are so over the top that like you kind of need a villain that stands out a little bit. But I'm really excited for the rest of the series because I am kind of thinking that maybe it is more of like the villain is an organization that just has the face of one guy, one like milquetoast boring kind of guy.
Well, and the next one is a little bit different in that regard. Is it just one guy? You know, like they take a different approach in that one. But some other fun things here. I love, first of all the choreography in this movie. I love, like really, really love for all the characters. The car chase and the motorcycle chase, amazing.
Really entertaining.
I want to go back and watch the BMW flipping. Like you got me curious about that. Like it's just a little too.
Because it's not even flipping like how you imagine a car flips. It's flipping from ass to head, like the like hot dog style flipping. And it's like it doesn't make sense physically.
Yeah, kind of cartoonish, kind of like MI2, the airplane that just seems so out of place, like the way that they show that.
Yes.
I love how the movie opens and closes with the congressional hearings. You know, just the whole like I can neither confirm nor deny whatever without the approval of the secretary.
Right.
He keeps saying that line. For dislikes.
In terms of dislikes, I don't think there was anything that I severely disliked about this movie. Like all my qualms with it are not, I wouldn't call them dislikes. They're just kind of like, why does everyone who just meets this guy for the first time fall in love with him? Like Rebecca Ferguson's character, like they meet in a torture chamber where he's captured. And for some reason, she decides, and maybe I'm just forgetting a whole part of the plot, but she decides to help him out. Am I forgetting something? Was that like part of the plan all along or whatever?
I think because she's in there as a double agent and she has to be believable to Lane and his team, but she tells her superior, the MI6 chief, like, I'm not going to kill an innocent American agent, you know, like, so.
Right.
At the beginning, it makes no sense.
Right.
Definitely.
Okay. And she appeals to
I think,
how good Hunt is and like, oh, well, he wouldn't allow that to. And it's like, would he? I don't really know. Like, he's kind of a very bland superhero.
And they gloss over a lot of this very quickly. So like that could be, you know, I think it's a challenge definitely for this franchise. Even McQuarrie like doesn't fix too much of that. You know, I think this guy just focuses on pace. And I'm not trying to say it's perfect. There are issues. I'll give you my 2 dislikes. Please. And I think this kind of addresses those. There's a thing in here which feels kind of silly. The reason why Lane is manipulating this team to do stuff is to get a ledger that has all the bank account information and all the list of all the agents who were thought to be dead but are working now with the syndicate. It's a little silly, like which motivates him to do everything. Go to Morocco, go into that water chamber, all of that. And the ending with the glass box trap, it's silly, but actually I kind of like the simplicity.
Yeah. It's very, very on the nose because it's like, Tom Cruise got trapped in a box at the beginning. This bad guy gets trapped in the box at the end. Got it. You know, it's bookend. It's a lot of production for a very specific, poetic justice.
And then there's that whole line, Mr. Lane, meet the IMF. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
so cheesy.
That part I did roll my eyes at. Yeah. Like, that was probably the only part where I'm like, all right.
Yeah. But that's also like, and tell me if you feel the same way, but when I roll my eyes at something in these movies, it's not necessarily out of, I don't like this. Unless it's in number 3. It's more like, okay, I'm remembering the ride I'm on right now. Is this this franchise is so hammy and glorifies action and set piece over everything else.
This movie, though, there's a systemic enemy, not a singular disaster. You know, that it's strategy over brute force. These themes of trust and disillusionment. But the thing that I love from this movie going forward is the self-awareness. Self-awareness is now strong in this franchise from this point going forward. For all the dialogue and things we already talked about, this is the main reason why I put McQuarrie on that pedestal. There's the problem solving, but I love how he pokes fun at it a little.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
I'll keep my eye out for it.
So,
because it is a silly franchise. It's fun and serious.
No, totally.
But it's very silly.
Another unique thing to this movie is the villain doesn't die at the end.
That's right. He gets transported away.
And the villain and Hunt have no fight.
That's a good point.
Which again, it works. It's different.
I like that.
Yeah.
They have a fight in the sense that like Hunt's running away while he's getting shot at. But that's not not a typical, like in the other ones, they were fist fighting.
Yeah. You know, the story recap part kind of addresses this too, I think. I'm going to read this and again, tell me, like, does this fit what you were saying before of these blend together?
Okay.
So Ethan and his team must take down the Syndicate, a rogue network of ex-agents operating from the shadows. Ilsa, undercover with MI6, walks a line between helping and betraying Ethan. Lane manipulates the IMF team without them realizing, but Ethan ultimately traps Lane, turning the tables. Baldwin's CIA director character, after hunting Ethan, ultimately joins IMF as its new secretary, re-legitimizing the team.
You know,
that's the summary.
I'm wondering because right now, since we're watching all these in such rapid succession, like they're delineated very distinctly in my mind. I'm delineating by a lot of it is by what woman is in it. And because there's a different woman in each one doing a kind of the same role. Rebecca Ferguson's a little bit different in this one, but there is a delineation in my brain right now. But you know, it might be a fun game at the end of this is to read an action sequence that happens and say, tell me which one that was from. Or say like, hey, tell me which one the whatever sequence was from.
Yeah.
I bet we don't get that 100% right.
Game on.
Yeah.
Totally up for that.
Okay.
What about the rewatchability part? This one I love watching. Like this is one of the few that, and I think the reason why I love watching this is I'm thinking about this movie from like how they made it.
Yep, I completely agree with that.
But aside from how they made it, it's just enjoyable too. Like I keep changing where I rank it, like in a good way.
Right.
You know, so I would definitely watch this over a lot of the other movies from the franchise.
Yeah, I was kind of getting nervous about this segment because so far there isn't a single one, with the exception of one, where I'd be like excited to rewatch it. This is the first one that I'm like, oh, I want to watch that sniper battle again. And I want to see the sequence where he goes and stirs a fear deep inside me when he drops into that sinkhole to go into the slow motion. Like there's moments in this that really stand out. I would absolutely watch this again.
The whole underwater part, there was one little trivia thing there I wanted to mention. They made a big deal also during the marketing of this movie that Cruise held his breath for 6 minutes to be able to film that. And again, that's superhuman. That's incredibly impressive. But in recent years, that record was broken.
Oh, really?
For Avatar 2, Kate Winslet held her breath for 7 minutes and 14 seconds.
Oh, shit. Wait,
that's pretty damn awesome. When you can,
that's crazy.
Yeah. You can say that you bested Tom Cruise. This guy is like in immaculate shape. You know what I mean? That's totally tip my hat.
That's a good trivia right there.
But yeah, man, this is the first entry by McQuarrie. And I hope it gives you a little bit of a preview of why this guy, I love his work. And it's not just this franchise. You know, Edge of Tomorrow that he did a big part of rewriting, to the first Jack Reacher movie, to Top Gun 2. I mean, this guy, he knows beats and pacing really well. So, and to get you to care, you know, like Top Gun 2, I'm amazed that he got enough of an audience to care to like, all right, I want to watch that again.
Right.
You know,
totally. It's Top Gun 2 is really interesting because it is like, it's an anomaly. You know, I think what they had going for it was a lot of kind of seeing it ironically. Like Top Gun was such a ridiculous movie back in the day, and it kind of has a little cult following now. Like, I think there was a lot of people that wanted to see it in an ironic way and then saw it and were like, oh shit, this movie's amazing. And then word of mouth is word of mouth, you know? Like, I don't think this movie has any of that going for it. This next one, the 8th one that's coming out.
Yeah, I just feel the franchise could never get like all 4 of those quadrants. You know what I mean? Like it's tried and like you really, like I feel for everyone involved that's making this. They really have tried.
Right.
The marketing efforts on this movie alone are also like superhuman.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yep.
We'll see though. Like I don't want to count out McQuarrie and Cruise just yet, but we'll see. And Mark?
Yeah.
The next one.
Yeah.
The next one that we're going to be talking about is my favorite, hands down, in this franchise, Mission Impossible Fallout.
I can't wait.
McQuarrie is back, and with every one of his movies, he gets a little bit better, bit by bit. So we're gonna have a lot to talk about. Don't hold back, like, or don't go easy on me, like just because I love it. If there's things, challenge me.
Okay, I will. I'm excited to see it.
Totally excited too. As far as this one, you know, we can all still find Rogue Nation on Prime Video as well as Paramount Plus. This next one is going to be something.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Talk to you soon, man.
Bye.